You were attentive, vulnerable, a provider. You played the game following all the rules that modern society taught you to be a good man. You listened, you validated, you communicated your feelings. You strived to be the ideal partner described to you in movies, books, and conversations. And what was your reward for following the manual to the letter? Disrespect, indifference, the passion that slips away like sand through your fingers, or in the best-case scenario, the painful and humiliating coronation as a great friend, the asexual confidant to whom she tells about the men who truly arouse her. This feeling, this confusing exhaustion of doing everything you were told was right, only to reap the wrong result. I know it makes you question your own worth. It makes you believe there is a fundamental flaw in who you are. You look in the mirror and ask yourself, what's wrong with me? What if I told you that your failure was not due to being an insufficient man, but to being an excellent student of a wrong lesson? That you became a master of a game whose rules were written to make you lose? That the great lie they sold you, that attraction is a fair and logical reward for good behavior, a transactional contract, is the exact programming that keeps you weak, predictable, and consequently, unwanted. In this video, I'm not going to give you more rules. I'm going to break the rules that imprison you. I will give you the key that decodes the system behind the game. A raw and uncomfortable truth from evolutionary biology that will transform every painful rejection, every moment of confusion from your past, into a lesson of power for your future. Stay with me, and you will cease to be a pawn and become the chessboard. To begin disarming this lie, you need to receive your first tool right now. An immediate relief for your mind, a new pair of lenses to see reality as it is, not as you were told it should be. The tool is this. Stop listening to words as if they were a contract and start decoding the tests as if they were an enigma. Think about the last time a woman told you, "You never open up to me. You seem so distant, you keep everything to yourself." The good man, programmed by the great lie, hears this literally. He interprets it as a genuine invitation for vulnerability, an open door to intimacy. So, he opens the vault. He pours out his insecurities about work, his fears about the future, his weaknesses, believing he is building a bridge of trust. And what happens in the following days? The bridge collapses. She pulls away, becomes cold, critical. The attraction, once palpable, is now a distant memory. He feels betrayed. But I did what she asked, he thinks. He failed, but not because he opened up. He failed because he interpreted a stress test as a cry for help. That was not an invitation for her weakness. It was a test of your strength. Her operating system, sharpened by millennia of evolution, was not asking, "What are your deepest fears?" It was performing a security scan asking, "Is this man emotionally strong enough to handle the world's pressure without crumbling? Is he a rock where I can shelter during a storm? Or is he quicksand that will swallow me along with him at the first sign of difficulty?" By pouring out your raw weakness without the counterweight of demonstrated strength, you gave the answer, "No, I am not the rock. In fact, I'm looking for one too." Consider another example, the jealousy test. She casually mentions how a coworker complimented her or how an ex-boyfriend got in touch. The programmed man reacts in two equally disastrous ways. Either he explodes in jealousy and insecurity, revealing his fear of losing her, or he feigns a forced indifference that shows weakness. In both cases, he failed. The test was not about the other man. It was about his confidence in his own value. The immediate clarity I want to give you is this. Every seemingly illogical interaction, every sudden drama, every contradictory request from your past, it wasn't about you being a bad boyfriend. It was about you being a terrible reader of tests. You were trying to pass a math exam using a history book. The guilt you carry was just ignorance. And today, that ignorance ends. Now you might ask, and with good reason, but what an exhausting existence is this? To live being tested at every moment? Is this a game? Is this malicious? No, it's not malicious. It's biology. It's the most powerful and indifferent force in the universe at work, evolution. And the wisdom behind this first tool is evolutionary psychology, pure, raw, and stripped of modern sentimentalism. Imagine for a moment the reality of our ancestors. For hundreds of thousands of years, the survival of a woman, and more importantly of her future children, depended critically and brutally on her choice of a partner. Choosing a weak, indecisive, resourceless, cowardly man, or one who crumbled under pressure, was not a simple, romantic mistake. It was a potential death sentence for her and her lineage. The female software, therefore, was relentlessly sculpted by natural selection with a primary and subconscious directive to incessantly test male fitness, physical strength, and, even more so, emotional strength, the competence to acquire resources, the resilience to protect the group, the social status to ensure safety. This verification process never stops. Never. A woman's actions that confuse you are not, most of the time, a personal attack on you. They are not a conscious Machiavellian plan. They are the execution of an ancient and powerful program running in the background to answer the most fundamental question of all. Is he still the best and safest investment for my survival and replication? Is he still the best bet? When you internalize this, something miraculous happens. The personal offense is removed from the equation. Emotional reactivity disappears. You stop behaving like a boy who takes everything personally, feeling attacked at every test, and you start acting strategically, like a man who understands the nature of the system and admires it for its brutal efficiency. You don't try to fix or complain about her program. You learn to master and upgrade your own. Understanding the operating system is the first step. Now let's fill your mind with the practical tools and advanced strategies to navigate it. We will dive into 5 essential chapters to complete your transformation. From logic engineer to nature's decoder. Chapter 1. Complacency is the silent betrayal. Think of the lion. What makes him the king of the jungle? It's not just his strength at rest, but the constant demonstration of his hunger, his power, his readiness for the hunt. A well-fed, fat, and sleepy lion does not command respect. He becomes a target. Now, let's bring this image into our world. Meet Richard, the retired conqueror. Richard spent months, maybe years, in the conquest phase. He was sharp. He went to the gym, had side projects, went out with his friends, had a vibrant and interesting life. He was the lion in his prime. The woman he desired saw this energy, this ambition, and was attracted to the adventure that was his life, and she decided to be part of it. Richard then believes the hunt is over. He won. He relaxes. The trips to the gym become sporadic. The side projects are forgotten. The nights with friends are exchanged for binge-watching series on the couch. His life, which was once a vast and exciting kingdom to which she was a welcome addition, has now shrunk and become a small fiefdom that revolves entirely around her. He believes he is demonstrating commitment and love. What is he communicating on a primal and subconscious level? I won. I no longer need to compete. I no longer need to grow. I am satisfied. For her survival instinct, programmed to seek the best, this is the most terrifying message of all. A man who stops competing becomes an easy target for other hungrier men. A man who stops growing becomes a diminishing resource. The security he thinks he is offering by dedicating himself entirely to her is, in fact, perceived by her operating system as the deepest insecurity. He has become the fat and sleepy lion. And the savannah is full of young and hungry lions. His complacency is a silent betrayal of her primal need for a man in constant ascent. The tool here is the unshakable mission. Your life must be your kingdom, and your mission, be it your career, your physique, an art you master, must be your throne. The woman you choose must be the queen who comes to add to and admire a prosperous kingdom, not become the kingdom itself. She didn't fall in love with the man you became for her. She fell in love with the man you were while you were becoming great for yourself. Never ever abandon this journey. This is not an option. It is a necessity for the long-term maintenance of attraction. Chapter 2. Decoding the drama. The anatomy of tests. The logical man tries to fight a woman's emotional fire with the ice of reason. He brings facts, logic, timelines, evidence, and he always invariably loses the war, even if he wins the argument. He loses because he doesn't understand that her emotional outburst is rarely about the apparent reason. The argument about the wet towel on the bed is not about the towel. The jealousy crisis is not about the other woman. The drama is the laboratory where your qualities as a man are tested. Let's dissect 3 main types of tests. First, the strength test. It's the most direct. An ultimatum. If you go out with your friends today, it's over between us. The goal is not necessarily to stop him from going, but to measure the strength of his backbone. Are you a man who stays on his path, or can your reality be bent by her will? Giving in here is a catastrophic failure. Second, the congruence test. She will compare your words with your actions. You say you're an ambitious man, but you spend every night on the couch? You say you don't tolerate disrespect, but you allow her to speak to you in a demeaning way? She is checking if you are authentic or a fraud. Incongruence is an attraction repellent. Third, the distraction test. She creates emotional chaos, an unexpected problem, precisely when you are focused on something important, a work project, a study. The test is, will you abandon your mission to put out her emotional fire? Or are you able to stay focused on what is important, demonstrating that your purpose is not easily diverted? A leader does not abandon the ship's helm in the middle of a storm to calm a panicked passenger. The tool for all these scenarios is the stoic observer. You need to cultivate the ability to take a step back internally, to watch the drama unfold without being sucked into it. You are the rock. Her waves of emotion crash against you, but they do not move you, define you, or control you. Breathe. A power phrase is, I see that. You're upset about this, and I care about you, but I will not make a decision or have this conversation in this emotional state. When we are calmer, we will address this with respect. You don't ignore her, but you also don't yield to the chaos. You become the calm that she secretly craves, even while she is, subconsciously, creating the storm to test you. Chapter 3. The power reversal. From desperate provider to desired prize. The great lie taught you that you are a job candidate. You present your resume, good listener, provider, faithful, and hope to be hired. This is the provider mindset. It places you in a perpetual position of seeking approval. Did she like the gift? What can I do to make her happy so she won't leave me? It's a position of existential weakness. The primal truth is the opposite. Think of the sun and the earth. The sun does not chase the earth to make it orbit around it. The sun simply is. It burns with its own purpose, its own energy, its own gravity. The earth, attracted by this force, by this light, by this heat, happily orbits around it. If the sun decided to abandon its central position to chase the earth, the entire solar system would collapse. You are the sun. Your mission, your purpose, your self-confidence, this is your gravity. A man in his true essence is not the candidate. He is the prize. Your life, your ambition, your energy, that is the prize. The mindset shift is from, how can I keep her, to, is she proving herself worthy of being part of my journey? Does she add to my kingdom? This is not arrogance. Arrogance is a mask for insecurity. This is self-worth. It's understanding that your attention, your time, and your commitment are the most valuable resources you possess. You don't distribute them to anyone who simply asks. You grant them to those who demonstrate, through consistent actions, loyalty, femininity, and character, that they are a valuable addition to your universe. When you operate from this framework, the dynamic is inverted. You stop chasing and start attracting. She feels that she is with a man whose center of gravity is within himself, and her instinct compels her to qualify to remain in his orbit. Chapter 4. The Power Vacuum. The Art of Silence and Strategic Absence. A common mistake of the good man is to believe that constant presence equals constant love. He is always available, replies to messages in seconds, cancels his plans to be with her. He believes this shows dedication. In reality, it shows a lack of a life of his own. What is rare is valuable. What is omnipresent is banal. The tool here is the strategic use of absence. This is not about childish games like the silent treatment to punish. It's about understanding that space is an essential ingredient of attraction. Your absence, when you are genuinely busy with your mission, with your friends, with your growth, does two magical things. First, it gives her the gift of missing you. She can't miss you if you never leave. It is in this space that she has time to process her emotions, remember your qualities, and long for your return. Second, and more importantly, it reaffirms that you have your own world, that you are the sun in your own galaxy. Your absence to focus on yourself is the greatest demonstration that you are not needy, and that your value does not depend on her. Knowing when to step away is an art. After a test she failed, or a sign of disrespect, a period of silence and distance is not a punishment. It's a demonstration that access to you has a price. Respect. This allows her to recalibrate her behavior. It's the most powerful and masculine way to establish a boundary, without shouting or arguments. You simply withdraw the greatest prize of all, your presence and attention. Chapter 5. The Moment of Mastery. The Theory Incarnate. Let's make all this real. Let's visualize a moment that separates the man who knows from the man who is. The theory becoming flesh. The scene, you have plans. It's your night to go out with your friends, a non-negotiable pillar of your identity. It's healthy, it's necessary. She knows this, but as the time approaches, her software initiates a stress test, a power test. She starts pouting. And then comes the classic line, "So you're really going, huh? It seems like you'd rather be with them than with me." Your old self, the logic engineer, enters panic mode. His old programming screams. He might choose one of three routes to failure, the logic. But that doesn't make sense. We spent the whole week together, I have the right. He tries to win with facts and loses. The submission. Oh, okay, honey. If you don't want me to go, I won't. He yields. He has communicated that his world can be undone by her whim. The attraction plummets. The anger. This again? I can't take this drama anymore. He becomes reactive. He has failed the emotional resilience test. Now, the nature's decoder, the man you are becoming. He feels the old programming trying to take over, the urge to argue, to justify. But he breathes. He watches the feeling arise and lets it pass. He is no longer a slave to his reactions. He stops what he's doing. He looks at her calmly, without anger, without fear, with a slight amused glint in his eye because he doesn't see a personal attack. He sees the program running. He sees nature in its purest and most beautiful form. He walks over to her, doesn't say a word. He gives her a kiss on the forehead, a gesture of leadership, protection, and affection, not of submission. And then he says, in a calm, firm, and warm voice, "I understand that you feel that way, and I'll see you when I get back." End of discussion. He doesn't justify himself. He doesn't argue. He doesn't ask for permission. He validates her feeling, which disarms her, but keeps his plan unchanged, which demonstrates strength. He goes out, enjoys his night, and comes back as the same firm man who left. He passed the test. He doesn't just know the theory. He is the theory. In that exact moment, he ceases to be a pawn in her game and becomes the chessboard itself. He is the center of his own reality. And nothing, absolutely nothing to the female instinct, is more powerfully aphrodisiac than that. The journey from the confused good man to the sovereign and clear man is not about learning manipulation tricks. It's about unlearning the lies that weakened you. It's about removing the layers of social programming to find the core of masculine strength that already exists within you. It's about understanding that a woman's desire, respect, and loyalty are not prizes you win by being obedient or by begging. They are byproducts. natural and inevitable consequences that arise when she is in the presence of a man who masters himself. A man who understands nature because he first strove to master his own. Freedom is not in trying to change her software, it's in mastering and upgrading your own. When you stop seeking her validation as if it were oxygen, you finally earn her respect. And, what is infinitely more important, you earn your own. You become the man that not only she, but other men admire. You become a pillar, an armored mind. If this truth has resonated in your mind and you are ready to stop playing others' games and start defining your own rules, subscribe to Armored Mind and join us on this journey. Comment below. What was the social rule that harmed you the most in relationships? Your story is not just yours, it strengthens us all. Let's transform learning into collective wisdom. Finally, if this video gave you clarity and awakened something in you, leave a like so that this message of strength can reach more men who desperately need to stop believing in the great lie.